I am just baffled by this. Robert Kagan, who, by the way, is a neoconservative. Robert Kagan is very right-wing. He was a big fan of the Iraq War. He was a big fan of George W. Bush. He worked in the Reagan White House, as I recall. He's got impeccable Republican credentials. He's a hardcore right-wing neoconservative. In fact, he's described as a neoconservative in the article he wrote for the Washington Post. And he writes a piece warning that if Donald Trump becomes president again, we're on the road to dictatorship. And so Senator Vance of Ohio sends a letter to the Department of Justice suggesting that they should launch a potentially criminal investigation into Robert Kagan for writing this. There's a funny cartoon about this, or whatever you call it. Pick of the moment is what they call it over on Democratic Underground, where J.D. Vance is saying, of course, Trump's second term won't be a dictatorship, and we'll arrest and jail anyone who says otherwise. It's like, yeah. It's extraordinary. The first piece was published on November 30th by Robert Kagan, and then he wrote a piece a week later. And it was the day before yesterday that Vance sent this letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland and to the Secretary of State. Kagan's wife is Victoria Nuland, who is kind of the favorite boogeyman of the Putin lovers. She was, during, I believe, the Obama administration, one of the people who was no fan of Russia taking Crimea, shall we put it that way. I don't want to get into the complexities of it, but they were hysterical about Victoria Nuland. And so he's arguing that she should lose her job at the State Department because her husband, can't be trusted because he is going to influence her because he wrote this anti-Trump op-ed for the Washington Post. Now, this is weird stuff. This is just weird stuff. It's like, you say, hey, we should all be worried. These guys want to turn America into a dictatorship. No, we don't, and I'll put you in jail for saying that. What? What? What am I missing here? I mean, is this... Oh, geez. Meanwhile, Stephen Miller is recruiting lawyers. This Tom Bongiorno over on Raw's Story is recruiting lawyers who will take positions of power in the next Trump administration. This has led Ty Cobb. Now, you'll recall, Donald Trump brought Ty Cobb into his administration. I think he was quite impressed by the guy's name. But Ty Cobb is a former deputy attorney general. He served under President George Herbert Walker Bush. He was a White House lawyer in the Trump administration. He's a noted historian, actually. And what he said was, and I quote, they are looking for lawyers. He's talking about Stephen Miller. He said they're looking for lawyers who worship Trump and will do his bidding. Trump is looking to Miller to pick people who will be more loyal to Trump than to the rule of law. He added, Trump doesn't care about the rule of law or the quality of the criminal justice system. He only cares about fealty to him. Now, The Guardian wrote, Miller's legal group, which raked in a hefty $44 million last year, also has a board seat with Project 2025, this Heritage Foundation project with dozens of other conservative groups to reinvent American government, essentially, with the next Republican president, whether it's Trump, whether it's Nikki Haley, whether it's Chris Christie, whether it's whoever it may be. It's not going to be Vivek Ramaswamy. Timothy Naftali, a presidential historian, he said, this is a search for people with situational ethics. And the former Assistant Attorney General, Don Ayer, chipped in. He said he will have to exclude pretty much anyone who has any inclination to defend our legal system or question the president asserting absolute authority. This is fairly openly, enthusiastically, unashamedly, unabashedly, an effort to create a government of the United States that is purely authoritarian, that is loyalty to the leader above all else, that patriotism is redefined as loyalty to leader rather than loyalty to law, loyalty to Constitution, loyalty to nation, loyal to fellow human beings.